show with Irish show with Irish show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Irish! Yeah, that's right. Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Oh, Irish! Irish! Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, on a let's try and make it a feel-good Friday, all right? Let's try and go for it. Well, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's a good try. So let's try and go for a feel-good Friday. And here's the deal, people. I've been racking my brain the last couple weeks with the vibes in the Notre Dame fan base and a lot of what's gone on and some of the anxieties practically and existentially that we have, reading my emails, reading my tweets, reading the comments under the videos I put on YouTube, looking at the reactions to the articles on Irish Wire, all of it. And I've been in my brain about this, trying to figure out why there's this intensity to the offseason right now that's working Notre Dame people up a little more than usual. There's always a baseline of Notre Dame football anxiety in the modern era because of the modern era of Notre Dame football not being what anybody wanted it to be. I'm talking about the last 25, 30 years, people. All right? But it's come to me. I think I have a theory on exactly what's going on with the Notre Dame fan base this summer. Some people might not even realize that it's going on in their own head, in their own mind, in their own Irish heart. But I've really spent a lot of time thinking about this the last few days, and I have a theory of what I think's going on. I'm going to go through that theory. It's not complicated at all. It's not a complicated theory, but I'm gonna present it to you, and then I'm just gonna see what the group thinks, whether I'm off or whether I'm nailing it right on what's going on, or if you totally disagree and don't think that I'm on it. Okay, but I have an idea here, and it makes perfect sense to me. And again, I know I get made fun of for this. And Luke's cousin, Uncle Freddie, whatever. I know I get made fun of for this, but I always talk about what? Existentialism and philosophy when it comes to Notre Dame fanhood. Those are always top of my. I find those discussions to be more interesting in a lot of ways than, oh, we're in the 3-4. No, we're running this defense, and that guy should have been over here and all that. Like, that only interests me to a certain point. I like branching out into the philosophical and existential. I got an answer. And I want to know if you guys agree or not, okay? We have a couple phone calls. It is not going to take me long to go through this. This is not a half-hour rant that I do sometimes. I will try and make it quick, get to some calls. And see what you guys think about anything. As always, open forum in the offseason, like I've been saying. I don't care what I'm talking about. You have things on your mind. Just give me a call. Okay, that's what I want you to do. Get it off your chest. You could redirect me, talk about bigger picture stuff, whatever you want to do. So, obviously, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. Notifications on, that way you're alerted every time a new episode drops. You don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat, Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysIrishND@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want me. You can locate me at call-in lines. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen, whether it's good, bad, rad, or makes you sad. Just give me a call. Fighting Irish Wire, booty-doot-doot. Type them words in the computer box. Magical stories about Notre Dame come out every day. It's amazing. They just keep coming out of there. Read them. Also, don't forget, some of you in the chat, very nice group I have here, wishing me luck on Sunday. Don't forget, Sam Hartman's First Public Notre Dame NIL autograph signing, sponsored by yours truly, the Always Irish Show, at Forever Young Sports Cards in Crown Point in Diana Jones. Tickets still available. Make sure you visit foreveryoungsportscards.com. We got a little something for everybody planned. Stuff for the kids, stuff for the adults. Meet Sam Hartman, talk to me, get all your... It's just a Notre Dame gathering, folks. It's a Notre Dame gathering. Come hang out for the afternoon. It'll do you good. It'll do you good, I promise, okay? So, all right. First off, I want to thank everybody who joined the stream Wednesday night. That is not a time I usually go live, but with the holiday and all that, that's when I can make it work. So we went Wednesday night. A lot of the regular people, but some new people that window works for. Thanks for everybody being involved in that. I had a lot of fun. I'm always like, maybe this one will only go an hour, hour and a half. It's 3 hours plus, baby. Like, when I do that kind of stuff, especially in the evening, we just let it run. You guys deserve that platform, so I try and provide that to you. Okay, so we do have a couple phone calls. The chats aren't too bad as far as getting backed up before I went live. Let me hit through those, do my little theory. We'll take some calls, and we'll see where that leaves us, okay? Cody, thanks for the $2 holler. Appreciate it. Steven, a $2 holler as well. Almost time, fearless leader. Good morning, ND Legion. It's getting there. I always say 4th of July is my marking point. Now we have the Sam Hartman event in a couple days. That's going to be my kind of launch point here. And a little tailgate practice for what Central Michigan's going to be, minus the alcohol consumption. But the idea of me setting up a tailgate in the lot, being with the Irish peoples, that's going to be my role Sunday as well. I love it. Oh, man. All right, let's see what we got on the chats. Thanks for the donos. Appreciate it. Pat, good morning. Always Irish Nation. Hope everything's well with you as well. Matt Miller, good morning. Always Irish crew. All heading to Crown Point this weekend. Have a great time. John, perhaps you should push to get Sam Hartman on the show at some point. Go Irish. You don't think I have angles and things I want to accomplish this weekend? I mean, yeah, I'm happy to be a part of this mission and help in some little tiny way drive some NIL action legally, by the way. Legally, do my little part to help drive some NIL action to our quarterback, the most important position on the field. Okay, of course. But yeah, I want to interview the guy. I want to build that relationship. I want to see if I can interview him Sunday and have make that work, provide you guys a little footage, see what's up in the future. The one thing that's hard about like having him on the show like regularly or whatever, I don't know if he does that kind of thing or would like me or not or whatever. I realize I'm polarizing, but there are powers that be that have to be involved in that kind of thing, if you get what I'm saying. And I don't believe a lot of the things that I've talked about, especially this offseason, are probably don't make me the number one guy Jack wants his people to spend time with in the house, if that makes sense, after some of the things that I've said this winter. So I don't know how that's all going to go, but I got my angles. I'm not a dummy. So we'll see what we can do. And maybe if things go well, we'll have a little interview for you after Sunday if I can make that work. I'm going for it. C. Jones, good morning, John. 50 days till kickoff. I see 2 calls up. I'll get right to you. Mikey Pulls, always Irish, lead security guard. Pay free. but I appreciate the effort, Mikey. Good morning to John. To echo what Matt Miller said about getting Hartman on the show, you should pull some strings and get Freeman on the show. Again, I would absolutely love to, but I don't know that I am considered the most friendly media outlet for the Notre Dame athletic department this winter. So I don't know how that plays into it. Even if I've been fairly charitable to Marcus, the stuff about Ludwig and what I say about the administration and Jack and all that and some of the missteps I think they made that I have to call them out on. I'm not on their list as far as places to throw a guy a bone and give him a favor and have the coach come on the show. Because I don't believe Marcus just does that stuff random. There's people he has to go through to clear to do that stuff. And so that's something you have to think about too. And you guys got to understand, I'm not saying this with an ego, but the more this show has grown and become mainstream and have more reach and a bigger following, the more of that you have going on, then more people know your thing. You just can't get away with a lot. And it's tricky for me because there are things and projects I need to be involved in at Notre Dame on campus. I want to do some things there, record some things there. Like there's some stuff I'm trying to do. And you get stuck between, I never want to have to pick really telling you guys exactly what I think and feel. University, so when I want to record something there, I can have approval to do it or whatever, have access to facilities I need or whatever for things I have coming up. Like, that's getting tricky for me because I'm never going to stop giving you guys the truth. But a lot of times what I tell you, they don't like over there. They don't like over there. Okay. And so that's where it gets tricky. But my default is to give you the real, and then I'll just deal with the consequences. If I lose a little access, I lose a little access, but I'd rather tell you the damn truth of what's going on. Oh, boy. So, yeah, it'd be great to get Freeman on the show. Domer guy, let's paint that house rock-built green on September 23rd. No more red takeovers. Prove of that. I'm John Kennedy, and I approve of that message. That sounds pretty good. Sounds political. Pat, best of luck with your endeavor this week, and keep grinding and fighting the good fight. Winners do, losers complain in chat rooms. Cheers. I appreciate that. What a coincidence. We're in a chat room. And I see it all and I hear it all. What a coincidence. We're in a chat room. There we go. I like that. Somebody get Hartman a Miller Lite NIL deal now. I like that. This is a good question by security guard Mikey here. If you could interview one of ND's former coaches, who would it be? I'm guessing Kelly, since he's your favorite and Notre Dame's most winningest coach. Do they have to be alive? Like, I'm just asking, do they have to be alive? Because I'm picking Frank. Like, if you're letting me do this and I could resurrect, or I could, call heaven, because I know that's where Frankie Boy is, I would pick Frank because he's my favorite for a lot of reasons. Most notably, his dedication to perfection in all things Notre Dame does. Nothing was ever enough for Frank. Winning, but not winning by enough wasn't enough. Winning, but not being perfectly executed on the last offensive drive, the guy couldn't sleep at night. Nothing was good enough for Frank other than perfection for Notre Dame, and I will respect that till I join him in the ground 6 feet under. I love Frank. However, if we had to make it modern or like living, you're damn right. I'd love to interview Kelly. I've been asked that a bunch. Would you even entertain that if you had a chance? Absolutely, I would. And one, it would do killer numbers. Let's not ignore. That's kind of what I need to keep this growing, is come up with stuff. It would do great numbers. But number two is, I would be fair to Brian Kelly, and I would give him credit for the things he deserves credit for. I would challenge him on the areas I think he felt short and try and get some answers out of him. I would play it fair, but there's no way I would shy away from Kelly. But I'm sure whoever runs his burner account that monitors what I say would never let him get near me. even if he wanted to. But yeah, that'd be a riot. I would love to interview Kelly. I'd be fair, but I'd ask him tough questions. I want the damn answers to. Jay Lehman, what a good guy. He helps me out on Twitter all the time. Text stuff. Just, I appreciate you, Jay. Adam Dowling, good to hear from you. And I expect to see you in a couple days. I want you and the wife out there, Crown Point, hanging out with Always Irish. Maybe we even go get a drink afterwards in town at the, what is that? The burger place, the modern place. What's it called? I don't remember, but I was there. Adam, you know what I'm talking about. We'll go to that restaurant afterwards, get a beer. How about that? I like that on a Sunday. Willie B. Hardigan says, good morning, Vietnam. Not quite, but I get what you're going for. What do we got, Cody? Choose hard, choose now. You can't take any more official visits. 5 stars, love to hear that. Yeah, that's a rough message for these guys that are being wined and dined and probably 69 on their recruiting trips. I don't know, you guys. It's just tough, man, when you're Notre Dame. Doing things our way's tough. And I know we like doing things tough, but sometimes we make it tougher on ourselves, and I think it just has to be. All right? I just do. Domer guy, we need multiple 11 and 12 win seasons. Well, yeah, that's where I'm getting caught up on this, you guys. The easy thing to say is, well, what's the easiest way out of this recruiting frustration? And how do we turn the page and get the attention of elite guys and all that? If they're not just buying into our message and 4 for 40 and whatever small level NIL deal we could promise them down the road in a couple of whatever. Clearly, winning 11 and 12 games is the path to do that. The issue is, it's really hard to win 11 and 12 games when you have this schedule and some of our roster. So, it's easy to say the solution is to just go undefeated and you'll get better guys. But without better guys, it's harder to go undefeated, especially with this challenging schedule. With these 3 marquee games and then these little landmines all around them. NC State's a little landmine. Duke is the ultimate landmine. Nobody can tell me Duke is like a sleeper upset game. Bro, I'm telling you, whether Notre Dame wins or loses against Ohio State, I got Duke circled 80 times as be careful what you're doing. The emotions are going to be high and running dry that next week for the Duke game. Whether we're all miserable or happy, that is trappy, okay? So you got to watch out for that, but that cannot be a surprise to anybody. That I got that circled. I just do. And a former Notre Dame guy running that team, they're on the rise a little bit. Nobody looks at him as a serious threat, but they could grind you away and get that on you. So Notre Dame has to manage their emotions after Ohio State, whether they're good or bad, high or low. I don't like that. But that's the issue. Clearly, winning a whole bunch of games, making a playoff run is the best way out of this for where we currently sit. It's just easier said than done. That's all. It's just a matter of trying to get there. Few more callers. Hang with me. Burt Reynolds. Good to see you, Burt. Ayo, I'm back. Sad to say we'll never get multiple 5-star players. Well, that's a really non-positive way to look at it. And it's like, what about CJ Carr and Cam Williams? Aren't they 5-star guys? And then it moves right when Notre Dame gets him. And then I can say at least we have some. Then they lose their 5-star status. What the hell? Give Notre Dame a break. Give them a break. Oh, man. Cody agreed. But this season, I feel like we have to have it, or the Freeman era might not get off the runway. It's just, you're hinting to some of my big theory I opened up the show with. I think you might be on it. Jacob, morning, John. Have we joined the MAC yet? I don't think so. But I'm waiting for the news alert. I don't think so. Mark Holzum, good to see you here. Domer guy, with Freeman being here, I'm ready for the narrative to finally change. Results are the only way to do it. It ain't talking. It's not Freeman talking. It ain't Captain Jack running his mouth. It isn't me saying everything I've said, however many words I've spoken this whole offseason and this and that and theories and this and all of it. Win your damn games. Win your damn games. All right? Jeez. Adam says the anxiety is because we're not Notre Dame anymore, and it's only going to get worse. We are a second-tier team. We're not elite and haven't been for years. Well, that's going to do it, folks. Thanks for tuning in today. Like, I hate the accuracy with which this guy reports. Like, it may be a little exaggerated, but that's how a lot of people really feel about the dynamic right now. And there isn't evidence for me to say, slow it down. That isn't right. Okay? And so it's just rough. It's just rough. Oh, man. Oh, man. The Notre Dame fan thing, it just never goes away. Luke's cousin, Freddie, tell Sam to remember he's throwing to the ball to guys in the blue jerseys, not the other guys. 25 picks past 2 seasons. Listen, Luke always goes at this, one of the resident trolls. Here's what I'm going to say. And I meant to say this Wednesday because he was trolling me with some of this Wednesday night too. And I think I forgot to get to it. But when I think of all the stuff I'm worried about this year that could go wrong and how we're going to do, how are we going to beat the marquee 3 and all that, telling you, Sam Hartman's not on my list of worries. Like, even if he throws some picks or something, what you're going to get on the high side of that is going to be so much more weighted on the positive, glad, thank God we have this guy side than anything he does on the negative side. And again, that you might say it's a low bar, but compared to what we could have had, man, Sam Hartman can't be on my list of major things to worry about this year. I have too many other things that haven't proven any stats on the high end, like the whole defense, for example. How about the defensive front, where we lost 4 of our 6 top tacklers and over half the sacks? I got a lot more questions about that unknown than worrying about Sam Hartman throwing the ball. I'll tell you that right damn now. So, Jesus, I can't worry about everything 100% every minute. I have a lot of other areas that I'm focusing on worrying about before I get to him. So that's my position on that, okay? Oh, look at this. 53-7 Notre Dame in Dublin. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I like the sound of that. Luke, I see ND is concerned about Ohio State already buying up all the tickets. I mean, what you see Notre Dame is concerned. Did Notre Dame tell you? Like, did the Golden Dome send you an email? Or what do you mean? Do you mean you're seeing things in chat rooms that people are nervous about? Or what are you going at there? Or like, has the ticketing office done some hijinks to make it so Ohio State people? I don't know what you mean. Oh, I don't know what you mean, but I wish you would explain it. Connor, good to see you. Jeremy, when you throw the ball as much as he did at Wake, you're going to have some picks. Listen, what I'm saying is, even if that happens, you're going to get so many more stats on the positive end. That's not going to ruin my psyche before the year. You're still ending up, no matter what happens with Sam Hartman this year, as long as he's healthy, you're ending up in a better position at quarterback than anything we would have been otherwise. That's the overall message. I'm worrying about some other stuff that doesn't have any proven evidence of doing what I needed to do on the high end. Okay. Adam says, what section do you usually tailgate? It just depends. Like, we were stadium lot for blue and gold, but it just depends on where our group is and who has passes to get into where and where we could go. Still trying to figure out for Central Michigan the best tailgate area. Sometimes I like avoiding the stadium lot because it gets so congested that it almost cramps my style a little bit. That stadium area is jam tight. Sometimes I like getting somewhere else just to have a little more breathing room. I don't like being cramped in. That's why I don't like airports and flying. I don't like being cramped in with a bunch of people I didn't choose to be with. Okay? Pet peeve. Oh, boy. Brandon Fry. Really love what's coming out from the administration trying to control opposing fans invading our stadium, especially for OSU and USC. Somebody explain to me what they're doing. Are they doing the playoff thing that like baseball teams do where they block certain area codes from buying zip codes, from buying tickets? What are they doing? Maybe I missed it. Obviously, something's going on. What are they doing? What are the guardrails? I am unaware of this. Let me know. Yeah, Luke's cousin. Blue and Gold has recruits on their program all the time. Blue and Gold doesn't go after everybody like I do. Duh! You don't see the difference of why the administration looks at the groups differently? When's the last time you saw Blue and Gold go at Swarbrick directly the way I have and call out the administration and list out all the areas they're holding the program back? There's a give and a take here. When you have the takes I have, there's a downside to it. Give me a break. Also, it does help when you have On3 money behind you. That would be fantastic. I wish On3 would want to take my show on under that umbrella. That gives you some credibility in the recruiting area. So it makes sense Blue and Gold gets some of those guys. They work for a recruiting site. I work for myself in my basement. It's a little bit of a different credential. Oh, that water went down the wrong pipe. Damn it. Rough start. Oh, rough start. Johnny, why don't you like the white field lot? Let's start with this. It's 87 miles from where all the action is. It's easy to get to off the toll road. You just keep driving straight and you're in it. But I don't like feeling that disconnected from the action. That's too disconnected. Stadium lot, too jammed in. White lot, too disconnected and spread out. I don't even feel like I'm on campus. The dome's so far away over the lake, you can barely see it. Too far away, a long walk if you have older people. Doesn't bother me. I walk fast. Get out of my way. I speed walk everywhere. I got places to go. But if you have older people or people that can't walk, that's a hard thing. Oh, take the bus. Yeah, I'd rather not. Sit there and jam on a big bus and then wait. And then to get out of the game, you're waiting for another bus. How many people are in line? Ain't nobody got time for that. That's not my idea of relaxation. I'm not doing that. So those are my problems with the white lot. $10 holler from Jacob Brown. Appreciate it. John, personally, handing Artman the McDonald's bag is a chef's kiss. I like that. Hey, Sam, I got this double cheeseburger for you, bro. Trying to get me wrapped up in it. There you go. You get the YouTuber to do all the dirty work. There you go. I like that. I like that angle, man. Little danger for me. Make me feel like I'm breaking the law, like old Al Capone during Prohibition or something. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's really good. $2 holler. John, you're the voice of the people. Well, that's scary. That's scary. I'm the voice of myself. Of course I know who Pete Sampson is. Yeah, I know who he is. Irish Illustrated podcast. He's on with those guys. Yeah, I know who Pete is. Pete's a longtime guy. Got a lot of respect in the industry. Been doing it a long time. He's just so calm that it's hard for me. It's just hard for me. Pete Sampson is just so like level, and that ain't how I roll. I like his information. He's just so level. I just can't ever operate in that framework, right? Luke's cousin, Freddie. Freeman got way too much credit for John for doing absolutely nothing to this point. I mean, I don't know what you wanted me to say going into last year. He had a new energy, a new message, a new vibe, an openness, wanting to be more of a part of the Notre Dame family, welcome old players back, wanting to engage with the fans. The recruiting effort was fantastic. So like last year, I don't know what you wanted me to say of him. I liked all of those things. Now, on the field, clearly, the 2 dumb losses were unacceptable. And I admit that. They're totally unacceptable. There's no defending that. I don't care what quarterback you're left with. It's unacceptable to lose those 2 games. And then, so that's unacceptable, and there has to be accountability for those 2 games. On the recruiting end, it's even harder. I know the effort was there, but I am 100% still angry and bitter about how the class ended last year. And you could say at the end of the day, Freeman either got these guys or didn't, but I know there's other stuff involved beyond Freeman's control. That whole dynamic is so frustrating, and it's bleeding into right where we're at now. So I don't know what you want me to say. I want Freeman to succeed. I love his mindset. I love his personality, how genuine he is, and all of that. However, things got to get a lot better, a lot faster here. I'm not saying that. You can't afford with this schedule to have dumb losses like you did last year. Okay? You can't do it again. So that's unacceptable. In the recruiting, I know you're up against some tough dynamics. You're just going to have to figure it out. You're just going to have to figure it out. That's the job. There's no easy way out of that one. That's his job. So you talk about accountability. Yeah. You can't have any dumb losses like Marshall and Stanford this year. And even though it's hard and it isn't all fair rules, everybody ain't playing by the same rule book, you got to find a way to get this recruiting a little higher than it is. Okay? You just have to. I don't know what else you want me to do. I'm holding Freeman accountable for those things. The other thing we'll add to the list, let's go ahead and do it. Let's add this to the list. Depending on what happens on the field this year and then with the rest of the recruiting cycle, guess what? Some tough decisions might have to be made with this staff. Some guys might just not be getting it done in recruiting and out of their position on the field. We'll see. I'll give it this year and see how it goes. I'm looking mostly at the defense. There just might have to be some assistants that no longer work at Notre Dame after this year. Let's hold Freeman accountable for his own words. He said, if you aren't an elite recruiter, you don't belong on this staff with me at Notre Dame. Let's see if he holds true to that. If you got guys that can't land more elite guys on that defense, somebody else is going to have to get in there and try. Freeman cannot do it all. I realize the guy said, I'm going to be the lead recruiter on every guy. Practically, he can't carry all the weight, though. He could say that, and it's the right thing to say when recruiting is a strong suit and he wants to take accountability for the operation. He can't do it all alone, and you all know that. So maybe some tough decisions are going to have to be made in that regard after this year. But I am trying to be fair to Freeman and hold him accountable. I don't know what else you want me to say. Things got to get better in the recruiting and on the record. What else do you want me to say for accountability? That's about it. That's all there is. C. Jones, John, if you have a free minute with Hartman on Sunday, tell him we haven't beat Ohio State since 1935. Thanks. Oh, man. Man, you guys are a tough crowd. You guys are a tough crowd. Oh, man. Adam says, I love Brian Kelly. Well, I'm sorry. Just reading that's funny to me. I love Brian Kelly. Like, okay, fine. Why? What he said when he left ND was true and correct. Here's what I'm starting to come around to. There are a lot of legitimate complaints about the way Notre Dame's administration operates that I fully agree with Brian Kelly on. I am on Brian Kelly's side on a lot of these issues. However, that does not mean it was okay for him to be a dick to everybody and then leave the plane in the hangar and not go recruit. Like, Both can be true. Kelly was right about a lot of the institutional hurdles there that are put on the program. He was right about that. That doesn't excuse the way he treated people and the lack of proper work ethic on the recruiting trail. Both of those are true at the same time. Adam misfits. That's it. That's what I think we should do. Anybody coming to the Hartman event that wants to hang out, when it's over, we'll hop over one block, go to Misfits, have ourselves a drink on a Sunday afternoon. That sounds great to me. Luke says, good luck to Coach Kelly this coming season. LSU has a shot at the title. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. They definitely do. They definitely do. Kelly, it's timed out right in this window. And you have Alabama kind of trying to find their way a little bit, in a way more than you're used to from a Saban Alabama. They have more questions and trying to find their way a little bit. And that is a little tough. That's a little tough for them. Kelly's in a good spot. And I've been saying this, and I mean it sincerely. This is not hyperbole. I mean it. The best thing Kelly has going for him now is he has that quarterback at LSU that's so experienced, that was in there. Even Kelly can't ruin him. The guy's too far down the road for even Kelly to start messing with and ruin him. And so where that'll kick in is the first guy Kelly gets his hands on as a young guy. Not this experienced transfer that's athletic like a deer. No, even Kelly can't ruin this one. Where that comes in is a 5-star recruit or whatever, and then Kelly goes, yeah, you're a 4 or 5-star guy, but you need to change your motion and do this and that and start messing with the reason guys got that, for the reason that guy got that rating. Right? That's where you'll start seeing the Kelly regression. When he gets his grimy mitts on the next young quarterback, he could get in his head and ruin him. Okay? But for now, Kelly has that experienced athletic quarterback that even he can't mess with. They are sitting pretty this year. Michigan's also sitting pretty this year because they have a 2-game schedule. So 2 teams I really don't want to see in the playoff are lined up pretty well for the playoff in Kelly and LSU, and Michigan with a 2-game schedule. So I don't like the way that sets up. I don't like the way that sets up. I just don't. Callers, I'm getting to you. I appreciate it. I want to honor these chats. We're almost there. Guys who dog Freeman aren't real ND fans. Why would you root against yourself? That's on my list in my little theory. I'll get to it. I actually go over that. I actually do that. Yeah, look at this, Luke. There we go. Always Irish. Let's do some investigative work. You know what's funny about this, Luke's cousin, Freddie? I've thought of this before a bunch of years ago. It's funny you bring this up. Get the hidden cameras in place, record these recruits doing illegal stuff, and blackmail them into playing for the Irish, or we go public. That's funny what you're saying, but I've actually thought of this. How do you infiltrate? Back before NIL, and I knew USC was dirty, and down south they were doing it dirty, I thought to myself, how do you infiltrate one of those SEC payment rings and be able to record some of those interactions or actual exchanges? Like, kind of like the mob, man. Like how do you get in there and act like you belong, but you're not? You're recording all the evidence, but they trust you. I thought of that. How you do that and earn that trust to be in that circle to expose them. I did think of that. What if Duke beats Clemson week 1? Then it changes a lot of the discussion. Dave Solomon, let's see how the season goes, and particularly how the Ohio State goes before everybody loses their minds. We'll have a top 5 QB leading us this year. We're going to score a lot. Yeah, we are. You better make sure you win them all before Ohio State, or that one's going to take a dark tone. Think of the difference. I got 818-567 coming up. Think of the difference between You're undefeated. You're undefeated. And that buildup of Ohio State and what it could be on the high end and all of that stuff, as opposed to you lose a game before Ohio State, the whole narrative changes. Then it becomes do or die, got to win the Ohio State game just to salvage the year, not have 2 losses before we're even halfway in. Like that narrative goes from all your dreams still intact if you're undefeated heading to Ohio State to salvaging the season, got to win it to not have this unravel. Man, those are different things. Those are vastly different things. Drunk says, Johnny, you got to pivot, bro. Do a show on something else. What? I was going to ask what you mean by that. There's no games to go over other than recruiting and big picture stuff. That's what every show talks about in the summer. He means Notre Dame overall. He's saying Notre Dame is a path to nowhere. So you want me to change my old show, though, what it's about? I don't know if I could do that. What else do I care enough about to talk this many hours in a week about this stuff? Oh, man. That's funny. Mike, recruiting simple at Notre Dame. Just said Pat in the living room, let him scream and rant. He will scare kids into committing. I love that. That actually sounds perfect. Adam, hurts to say this, John, but it's true. Do you think that changes in the next 5 years, meaning winning like Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, hell, even Michigan has passed us up? You need to do 2 things at once. The recruiting needs to get on an uptick while you are changing the narrative on the field. In an ideal world, you have both going on at the same time, and they build off each other. In an ideal world, you're winning big on the field, and your recruiting's naturally trending up. And then the more you win big on the field, the more it helps that trend up. But it's easy to say, win your way out of this dynamic. It's easy to say that. It's very hard to do that. That's my conclusion. All right, let's get a little clarification on the Ohio State stuff. There's a report from ND saying they know Ohio State's getting a bunch of tickets. I read the article. They didn't personally email me. Don't they always get a bunch of tickets? Like, I'm not understanding. Don't they always get their 8,000 block in that far corner? How much more are they getting and how are they getting them? Are they paying more on the secondary market or what? I don't get it. Let's see. Let's get caught up here, and then I'll get into my little theory. All right, we're caught up. I'm going to go over. Shut up, Stylight. Give me a break. Where did the green screen that doesn't cover the entire background go? That only happens on the night show with the stadium one because of the way the picture has to be cropped, you jerk. Leave me alone. All right, let's get into my theory on this, and then we'll get into I'm going to get 818-567. You're the first 2 up. You've been waiting, and I want to be able to give you your time, okay? So here's what I'm thinking. Collectively, I feel like we're in a weird place. Notre Dame fans this summer have been edgy, wound tight, just kind of anxious, and have short fuses. Some of that's built into being a modern Notre Dame fan because we never win anything anybody cares about. But this seems to be an extra level, okay? An extra level. We just seem to collectively be less tolerant these days of anything. Big mood swings, heavy opinions. And I'm not saying this is wrong of the fan base, and I'm not saying I am excluded. I am including myself in this. So do not think I'm judging or looking down on people. No. I am a part of this. You could argue my show encourages some of it, but I put out what I feel I need to put out every week. All right? So things just feel kind of intense and that we all have a short fuse and there's some big mood swings going on week to week. Here's my theory. Just like the outbursts over Scott, I don't feel that that reaction was just about Scott. It was a mini encapsulation of the overall stress of everything going on. That's what I think this is. I just think it's a culmination of everything that we want to be a little further along in the Freeman era than it is. And then it adds this extra layer of frustration when there's another piece of evidence that doesn't help you get as far as we wanted to be with Freeman at this point. So I just think it's a lot of little frustrations all at once. And then that situation provides an easy outlet and a reason to let it all out and be mad about it and be negative about stuff. Now, what's causing that? Here's what I think it is. Those that didn't want Freeman hired, don't like him, don't think he should have the job, those Notre Dame fans are emotionally hedging. They want Notre Dame to win deep down. But if they don't and we struggle, they at least feel better about it, being able to come online and say, oh, I told you Freeman wasn't any good and we sucked and everything. There is a segment of those miserable Notre Dame fans. Deep down in their hearts, they want us to win, but they emotionally hedge by taking anti-Freeman, anti-Notre Dame positions to a extreme extent beyond what I deem to be reasonable and fair as an emotional hedge. Then if Notre Dame wins, they're happy. And if Notre Dame loses, they feel justified in their position publicly saying we're going to be bad. So there's that group. Okay, those people love the negativity. They get off on the negativity. It motivates them every day. Okay, but camp two, there's a whole nother group of people. And this is where I think most honest, aware, and realistic Notre Dame fans fall, okay? This group, and I include myself in it, want Freeman to succeed. We want to support him. We were really hopeful he could get us to elite recruiting status right away, meaning 2023 class and this year's class. And then off we go, and it's smooth sailing into the Freeman era. He learns on the job, all this top 5 talents coming in. Everything's trending up at that point. Here's the issue. Most of us, I think, are just now confronting the reality that this is going to be a lot harder on Freeman to get things over the hump than we ever thought it was going to be, than we ever planned for, and we ever damn wanted. That's what I think is going on here. The short fuses, having no leeway to not be mad about recruiting if one thing doesn't go our way. All the expectations put on Freeman this year, you got to beat the big three, all this. I think we're all really, really annoyed and are not in the mood for anything. And I think that's what's at the root of it. I think on the high end, we had this idea Freeman would get in there, the elite recruiting, it would obviously blow up more elite guys on both sides of the ball in 23 and 24 than we have currently. And we're just off to the races. I think we're all having a realization it isn't going to be as easy as we wanted. And Freeman's up against a lot of dynamics. Some maybe his own missteps, some from the administrative governors they put on the program, and a lot from the outside things you can't control. Not everybody playing by the same rules and recruiting and all that stuff. All of that stuff. Okay? I feel like that dynamic is generating the short fuse we have. It isn't just about Justin Scott. That is a representation of 20 years of Notre Dame frustration in a lot of areas. That's what I think it is. Okay? And so, does that make sense? It seems like we are 0 to 100 on everything. I just think we have a short fuse because we're annoyed that I am realizing some of what I thought he could get done is going to be a lot harder to do and take longer, and I don't like that. Then you add into that, Kelly's in a good spot right now, looking to make a playoff run. You got that that's annoying. Harbaugh and Michigan have a 2-game season. They are teed up for a playoff run, having to play nobody all year. They're sitting pretty. USC is on the rise, and they just keep getting more and more talent. Ohio State's getting guys we want. Nobody's in the mood for this. Nobody's in the mood for this. And I think that is all balled up into one ball of wax, and it comes out as our frustration. That's what I think is under all of this. A lot of people are saying, John, you and everybody else needs to chill out on being so mad after the Justin Scott thing and you're yelling on your show and all that stuff. It isn't just that one dynamic. It is what that represents big picture. And it's just the latest thing that reminds you Notre Dame's place in the sport, which isn't that high right now. It's just not that high right now. So you can't command that respect unless you earn that respect. Okay? Here we go again. This group of fans John is talking about are the ones who make all the excuses for Freeman. 5 freaking minutes ago, I just laid out everything for you. There's no margin of error this year to lose any dumb games, and the recruiting has to get better. I'm trying to hold the guy accountable and be fair at the same time. I really am. I'm trying to do that, okay? So that's what I sense is going on and why we're hypersensitive to everything. I think it's a accumulation of anxiety and stress just from over the years and everything. And then every last thing that piles on, it's you have a short fuse. You're not in the mood to hear about any more elite guys that Notre Dame fans built up, and then you don't get them, and then you realize you weren't even close to getting them, bro. Give me a freaking break. Like Scott, and then rushing Arizona, it's fine. I remind people that want to wonder, why would a guy go to Arizona? How does that make sense? I will remind you, I was told Arizona has an NIL situation where every scholarship guy gets $100,000 guaranteed a year. And if you do more above that and you're a star guy, you can. But each guy's getting $100,000 that has a scholarship that's just built into the Arizona program. They have a donor making that happen. So look at it, guys. Arizona, nobody cares about Arizona football, but do you care about $400,000 guaranteed? Might change how you look at Arizona in that dry weather. Okay? So I don't know. But let's see. Go into the calls, all caught up. Obviously, Freeman deserves a chance. I just feel annoyed at how wild everybody acted when we got Freeman, and it hasn't all gone to plan. I mean, that's the problem. There was a roadmap here in an ideal world, and it included better results on the field last year, better health last year, and then elite recruiting. And it's just, it hasn't all happened. There was more spots on the roster that needed to be flipped than we wanted, and it's hard to build that depth. That's dragging on. That's the other thing, you guys. And I was saying this, and nobody wanted to hear it, but there was a lot more rebuilding on this roster that needed to be done when Freeman took over than a lot of people wanted to admit. A lot of people were telling me that was a top 5, top 10 roster that we inherited, and I just totally disagreed with that. So there's that. It's taken a while to build back depth in those areas on the team. We're having trouble landing the most elite of the elite guys, and enough of them, man. It's just a lot of frustration, and everybody's wound tight. I don't know what else to say. Yeah. Jacob, how right you are. John sounds like he's saying we're always annoyed with ND. Isn't that the best way to put it? But I really do feel like that's what's going on. Let me know if you disagree. I don't know. Excuse me. Really appreciate the donations, you guys. 567, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, John. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay. What's on your mind, man? I'm shooting all over the board here, trying to kind of find some reasons we're all wound so tight. What do you make of our current Notre Dame situation?
So ND isn't ND anymore, and they probably won't be what they used to be. I hate to say this ever again. I'm just way too diehard to accept that, right? So that's why I'm here in July, May, June on your show, because I'm a diehard optimistic fan.
Yep.
So I wanted to read you this quote real fast, okay?
Sure.
So it goes. Somebody posted this on one of your videos you did a couple days ago, and it says there is no academic virtue in playing mediocre football, and no academic vice in winning a game that by all odds one should lose. There has indeed been a surrender at Notre Dame, but it's a surrender to excellence on all fronts, and in this hope to rise above ourselves with the help of God. Theodore Hesburgh.
Interesting. Wow, that's interesting. So what do you make of that? What's the message you take out of that?
I think that's Notre Dame's mission statement, and it always has been Notre Dame's mission statement. They handicap themselves, and they surrender to excellence on all fronts. On all fronts.
But why? I don't understand how they benefit from sacrificing anything, not being excellent, when there's more they could do within their power to make it a reality. I don't understand it, man. Is it just, do they think football's below them and it's a Neanderthal sport and they're annoyed that people care about it and they want to just be an academic place now? Like, what is it, man?
What now? It always has been the number one goal from Notre Dame. Always has been excellence on all fronts. On all fronts.
But see, the all fronts thing is where I get tied up. Like, there isn't that much pride in your guys graduate, but you're not good at football. I don't have a ton of pride in that. I'm sorry. I want you to graduate and be really good at football. I have a lot of pride in that, but you got to do both.
I hear you, but let me clear something up, and this ties into everything I just said that we're talking about. Okay, this is Domer guy, by the way. So I just wanted to clear up something. I chatted in your show a few weeks ago, and what I meant by sell your soul to the devil. Okay, I think it was taken out of context by you a little bit, but it's okay. I didn't fully explain myself. So. I'm an avid college football fan.
And by the way, I do remember. I remember exactly what you're talking about. I'm with you. I'm following. I know that exact interaction. I'm following you.
Okay. I'm an avid college football fan. I know that NIL is perfectly legal, and I'm okay with NIL. And sell your soul to the devil, I'm alluding to ND joining the conference and pay for play, okay? I want Notre Dame to compete for national championships and even win national championships as much as the next diehard fan. But as a fan, I don't want Notre Dame to have to play this game where they have to pay for top 30 players' entourage to tag along with them on official visits, or to have to pay a fee to get a top 30 player on an unofficial visit.
Yeah.
I personally hate on NIL.
So where does that leave us? I personally hate it. Where that is the big frustration. Where does that leave Notre Dame? That is very tricky. Where does it leave you then? Because you want to be able to compete, but you're going to do it your way. And how are you going to keep up? And then are they just going to keep telling us championships are the goal every year, but we're seeing that they're not doing what the teams doing that are? How long are we all supposed to believe that before we admit we're more of an academic place now because we can't play? We're not comfortable playing the games these teams are playing that are winning. Like where do we go from that point, man?
Okay, so let me ask you something. Do you want Notre Dame to pay for play, yes or no?
No, I want them to do legal NIL to the point that it at least makes some guys think about Notre Dame as opposed to jumping for pay for play just to sign your money. But I think that if Notre Dame was able to build a robust, awesome, high-level public NIL deal with like Mercedes. I'm talking things that move the needle. Brand names in America, move the needle NIL stuff that has big picture recognition, not the Waffle Hut, the diner in South Bend with the sign falling off of it. Talking high-level stuff here. Perfectly legal, high-level, classy companies build out something for that. And then you're not going to do pay-for-play, but you're at least offering things that have real appeal in a way that we don't right now. I would be fine with that. And that would tell me Notre Dame's really trying to at least be in the game. And I don't believe that's going on now, not to the level I want.
I believe you're right. I believe that our NIL collective could be doing better things.
Right.
And more
because
things.
The problem is, but the problem I have is people are saying, John, even if you did a great NIL program, if you're not doing the pay for play and paying for the recruiting entourage and all that, you're still not going to get those guys. My argument is you might be right.
That's my argument.
Okay.
That's my argument.
But that's not a reason to not try NIL.
Pay for play.
But that's not a reason to not develop a great NIL program because you're worried it might not be enough. You got to push it to the limit you are comfortable with and see if it helps. That's not a reason to just give up on NIL because you're not doing the other extension of it.
What are you really doing though if you have to do both? If you let's say you get this collective get together and you got a banging NIL deal, okay, but you still don't pull the players that you need to pull. What good does that do?
Well, I don't know, but the other thing, we haven't even tried it that way. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because I haven't seen Notre Dame put together a real NIL program that makes them stand out in the country and be proud of the opportunities we have. So let me see that not work first. Try it that way. Instead of telling the top guys, give up all the money and the women in the cars and come do hard school work. Doesn't that sound in cold weather? Doesn't that sound like a great deal, son? At least try and be in the game. You got to at least try and be in the NIL game. And I don't mean a little rib joint in South Bend gives the offensive linemen every plate of ribs they want. That's NIL. That is a joke. I'm talking about real opportunities that move the needle.
I agree 100% with the NIL talk. I personally hate NIL, but it's legal and I accept it. Okay, and we might as well join the game or get left behind. I 100% agree with you. But let me ask you this question. I've always been an advocate of Notre Dame winning the big games because we haven't done it and we haven't tried that yet. So let's do that and let's see if that attracts these top 30
Well,
players,
we've tried it.
But
we've tried it. We try it every year. It just never works. I know.
What I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really starting to believe in my own head that even that's not enough. Let's say this year and next year we go 11-1, both years, 12-0 both years. Okay. We make college football appearances. Okay. And that's already happened 2 out of 3 years. Okay. And then let's say all these competitions we're in with these elite teams like Alabama, Ohio State in recruiting. So these recruits see Notre Dame's doing well. They're beating Clemson. They're beating USC. They're beating Ohio State. Okay. But Ohio State and Alabama are all respectively doing the same thing. They're going to continue to be good. It's not like they're going to fall off the college football map. So they're still good. Okay. They're still a relevant program that's in the playoff picture along with Notre Dame. Okay. Now let's say Notre Dame says, hey, come here. We're offering you this great NIL package. They updated it. Okay. It's on par with Ohio State.
Okay.
Alabama. Let's say that. And we're winning big games. We got a great NIL package. Come here. And then Ohio State and Alabama, all they have to say is, we got all the things that they offered you, but we're going to pay you $2 million to sign too. Who? What are you going to do, John?
Yeah. That's a tough dynamic. So I've thought of all this. This is a really good discussion. Very productive and frustrating, I admit. Here's my thought on that. I totally agree with what you're saying, But I think there are levels to this, and the gap in between where Notre Dame is and where those schools were trying to reach in NIL and on-field results. There's a big gap between where we're at and where they're at in terms of NIL, what they're offering, whatever, and winning on the field. I'm not saying if we do these things, we'll be right up there with them, but you at least are going to close the gap to give you more of a chance to be in the mix for more of these guys if you, say, beat the marquee three next year. I can't measure how much, but nobody can tell me that's not going to help on the recruiting trail if you could say, we beat three teams favored to win their three different Power 5 conferences and we beat them. Like, I'm not saying we're ever going to keep up with the Joneses, because every time you think you do, the Joneses up the ante to something else that you shouldn't be doing. But I'm just saying the best you could do is be as competitive as you could be on the field, which we have not been doing a good job of, to help your cause, and utilize what you can do in NIL as much as you can. And we're not doing that either. So I almost want to tell you, I'll worry about the problem you propose when we're in that position and I see that it isn't working. But we're not even close to me worrying about it yet, because we don't have the on-field results and we don't have the NIL structure yet. So I'm almost telling you, let me worry about one thing at a time. If we do the things you and I are talking about and still can't compete, then that's a whole different discussion, and it turns down a dark, dark alley. So I'm not saying you're going to totally catch up.
Before you get on something else, let me ask you one thing here. So do you think Alabama, Ohio State, and all these elite programs, Justin Scott, for an example, because you're right, I'm not pissed off about Justin Scott. I'm pissed out about every 5-star we're losing out on.
Yeah, exactly.
Notre Dame doesn't land 5 stars, and they're the gap closing players that we need.
Yep.
It's not just Justin Scott; it's everybody.
Yep.
Okay, it's everybody that we're not getting. It's a top 5.
That's
top
how I
player.
feel. Yep.
So Alabama, Ohio State, all these elite teams, the top 30 players, and probably even beyond that, but we're just saying the top 30 players because those are the gap closing players that Notre Dame needs to be able to compete in the pecking order of elite in the college football. Okay.
Yep.
So do you think those elite programs are paying for play, the top 30 players?
I'm not going to say all of them, but there are some of them that are for sure. I cannot verify all of them, but that some of that's going on at a lot of those places. I believe that.
You know as well as I do that it is.
Yeah. I don't have.
It was before the NIL era,
I don't have individual evidence, but yes, there's enough smoke there. Yes, I believe something's going on clearly. Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said about NIL and Notre Dame getting an NIL collective together, and it's not going to hurt anything, and at least try that. I agree with that. Okay.
Yeah.
But my point is, you're spinning your wheels. I think you're spinning your wheels even if you do that, because if you're not going to come with pay for play on top of NIL, I don't think it's going to get Notre Dame anywhere.
But the other option is what? To just sit here and not even try? Like, I don't know what the other option is, man. Like, the best thing I could think of is, listen, what's not going to happen is Notre Dame's administration going, the hell with this. We're sick of not winning the last 30 years. I'm not saying don't
try. I'm saying you're either going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, we're either going to do both or we're just going to continue doing what we believe in.
But
why put one foot in the water? Why dip one foot in the water?
Because I'll tell you why. Because I think you could thread the needle to be more competitive in some of these areas without feeling like your guardrail path to make a sophomore more likely to be able to transfer into the football team and then get caught up on credits.
Even the undergrads are getting paid money to pay for play in NIL deals. So, they're the same as recruits, high school recruits. They're still getting swayed.
They are. I guess I
still think Notre Dame. I still think Notre Dame's not going to be in on all the sought after undergrads.
Yeah, I would just feel better if let me put it this way. If I sat here and told you guys Notre Dame's doing all the stuff that I've wanted them to do in the right way and the way I think could maximize what we could get out of it, and we're just not seeing results, that's a different problem. But we are nowhere near that level where I honestly feel Notre Dame's done everything within their power to set us up to be able to compete as much as we can with whatever else is going on. I don't feel like we've even gotten near that point, that I feel like we're putting our best foot forward to compete in these areas within our boundaries, within our morals, within our value. There's a huge gap, man, between how they operate now and the line that I say, I'm not comfortable with what we're doing. Is this Notre Dame anymore? There's a huge gulf there. Push it a little bit towards the other end, and then let's see if that helps out or not. And if it doesn't, then you have a doomsday scenario. Pick a path, Ivy League or get real about football at that point. But I can't look at it that way when I don't feel Notre Dame's doing everything in their power to even try. They're not.
I'm just looking at it big picture, and if you're going to do, I think pay for play and NIL go hand in hand. And example, Justin Scott, you're not going to. I just personally believe if it's not, NIL is not going to draw. Just NIL is not going to draw a player of that caliber to your school, because he's going to be offered by multiple schools pay for play on top of great NIL deals. So,
I get that.
I mean, we can sit here until we're blue in the face.
But I get that. But what's the other alternative? To just do what we're doing and not try and have a better NIL, figuring it won't pay off?
I agree.
Like, you got to try. All you can do is try.
I agree. We have to try.
Like, the answer
we
can't be.
We can agree on that. But
the answer can't be, I don't think it's going to matter. So don't try and build a great NIL thing to offer a guy a deal with Mercedes-Benz or Range Rover instead of the local rib joint in South Bend. Like, I don't know how much it's going to work or not, but you could try it. It can't hurt to have better, bigger opportunities with that. All I'm saying is try it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't know why Notre Dame can't see it big picture and just see pay for play being a problem.
Well, I think
with NIL.
Oh, I think they know it's a problem. I think Marcus knows it's a problem. Marcus knows more than anybody else it's a problem. I don't think Marcus does not have the ability to institute some of the things I need done to free him up to be more in the mix. He can't press that.
I don't even think Bavak was not even going to change Father Jenkins' mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. The board are just stubborn, old, rich people that I think they value Notre Dame's core values and their mission statement, and they're going to stick to that. And they're definitely not going to pay for play. And I'm not asking for them to do that, because I personally don't want to pay for play.
Yeah.
I would rather be where we're at right now than pay for play.
Yeah. Like, I do have it really does rub me the wrong way, man. Like an NIL deal where you say you can make a ton of money if you're in good academic standing, you're not getting in trouble, and you play very well. We're going to find you some great opportunities. I love that. The idea that you're just going to hand $1 million to some high school kid who hasn't proven jack shit yet on the field. It's everything wrong with America. That's what it is. It's literally everything wrong with America. That mindset, I'm totally against it. But that when money's involved, there's always going to be somebody pushing it.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Do you think that NIL is ruining college football?
Let me answer this carefully. I don't think NIL is ruining it. I think the way teams are operating, calling things NIL, is ruining it. I don't think NIL on its own is ruining it, but the way it's being interpreted and the rules are being bent, the games are being played, nobody's looking into stuff to figure out what's going on. That's what I have a problem with. I don't think NIL on its own, in its purest form and definition, is doing that, but the way it's being worked with is.
What I mean by NIL ruining it is NIL opened up the floodgates.
It did, but can't we argue that the teams down south and USC, when they're good, were doing pay for play way before NIL. So wasn't this market always there? Couldn't you argue the other way that now it lets more teams get in the mix?
True, but what?
Because before you had to do it all illegal, all bagmen. No way to get your guys' money unless it's very illegal. Bagmen, legitimately, cars, jobs for mom, rent for mom, all of that. I was hopeful when they legalized NIL, it would help balance some of it out because now other people could also pay. And it isn't just those boldly doing coldly illegal things. But I haven't seen that happen.
You're not wrong. And I'm going to bring up something else that's a huge issue. And it's the reason why I hate I'm going to say I hate NIL because it opened up the floodgates to everything. And I understand that it happened before NIL came out.
Yeah.
But the transfer portal as well. Transfer portal and NIL is ruining the sport, and I'm going to tell you why. So NIL opens the floodgates with everybody is doing pay for play now, okay? Everybody's doing it except a select few.
Yeah.
So let's say Justin Scott, he picks Ohio State, and all these players pick their school, okay? And they're getting paid, they're getting the NIL checks, they're getting pay for play. And for what? Just to go to that school for 1 year and transfer a year later?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would see the day, John. I never thought that I would see the day where the NFL is more regulated than the NCAA.
Yeah, you know what happened with this? I have a theory.
It's year-round free agency.
Here's what happened. Here, I think all of this started with when the court system ruled that NIL was legal and that these guys had to be able to be compensated for their name, image, and likeness. I sincerely felt like I saw the NCAA totally step back, kind of wash their hands of it and go, the courts ruled on it. Now it's a free-for-all. We're not getting involved. And then backed off. And now all these ancillary issues, shady collectives, the LSU booster that siphoned out $500,000 from a children's hospital to pay LSU's parents, players' parents, so they'll come there. And now he's going to prison. Like, you're getting all this stuff. I don't know. Does it level back out? Have you ever considered that maybe it gets so extreme and then the teeter-totter balances back out on the counterweight edge? Like maybe people start getting burned paying these guys and it doesn't pan out, so they scale it back and it levels out.
That happened the first year. That happened the first year that NIL took effect. If you remember, what was it? De'Aaron King, the quarterback down at Miami when he transferred from Houston. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He got a fat NIL check. And the dude he ended up getting beat out or he ended up getting hurt or something like that. And there was a few players like that. What's the kid's name that is at South Carolina last year that we played against in the bowl game?
Ooh, the Rattler dude?
Rattler. He got a huge check. Remember, he was supposed to be like a Heisman candidate his second year at Oklahoma, and he got a fat NIL deal.
And then you have all the Texas A&M guys.
It backfired on him.
Remember that? They bought that defensive line, all those 5-star defensive guys that all got that fat money, and it didn't work out for them. A lot of egos weren't on the same page. So I do wonder if things balance back out. But here's my thing, man. Notre Dame is so unique, and a lot of times their uniqueness works against them. I need people at Notre Dame, these smart people, to figure out how to make Notre Dame's uniqueness be a feature, not a bug. Figure out a way to leverage the unique positives we have when we know we're in the negative on a lot of areas. You got to highlight the positives you have. To me, one of those is Notre Dame's network of alums and money and power people at all these businesses. That is their biggest asset to try and be competitive in this market. I don't see them using that enough. That's why my position is they can't even say they're trying because they're not utilizing their biggest weapon, which is our alumni and donor base that are power players across the country in the business world. We're not even utilizing them. So you can't even say you're trying.
You're right, because like you say all the time, Notre Dame sticks their nose in the air and They're hoity-toity about it. They're hush-hush about it. They don't like nobody to know about it, even though everybody knows everybody's doing it.
Yep.
They're definitely not using it to their full advantage.
Am I misinterpreting that? I know the way Notre Dame, it really does feel like to me that they know NIL is the modern thing. You got to allow it a little bit, but they do not want it to be like a publicly known, embraced thing that their players are getting money. I genuinely think those people think that is below Notre Dame and they don't like it. And that is holding back the aggression I want Notre Dame to go with in that direction. I feel like that's the dynamic. I'm almost certain of it. They think that's below them to do.
I don't know that for certain, but that's my impression.
So where do we go from here, man? This is a very, very good discussion, but like, where do we go from there? Like, what is the way out? Because just saying it is what it is, keep doing the same thing, banging your head against the wall every year, isn't going to do anything either other than make us all lose our minds. So what's the answer?
Here's the way out. Here's the way out in my mind.
Join the Ivy League.
A little bit ago,
join the Ivy League. Is that the way out? Is that it?
Fuck no. I hope you never join the Ivy League, dude. No. But so a little bit ago, I mentioned how I've always been an advocate and I've always pushed for Notre Dame to win the big games. And that's how you're going to drag yourself out of this recruiting narrative. And that's how you're going to draw the attention of these big top 30 recruits you need to close the gap, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen anymore over a single year. I think Notre Dame needs to establish a dominant dynasty over a 3-4 year period. They need to start building a dynasty under a young head coach and a young, fiery head coach. They need to win 11, 12 games every year, be in the playoff every year. They need to build a dynasty that these kids want to be a part of. And if we don't change, if we don't pay, I hope we do all the things that you mentioned with NIL, because at least we try it. I personally don't think that's going to work, just the NIL. I think you need pay for play on top of it personally. But I think if Notre Dame starts building a dynasty, that could sway some top 30 players.
Yeah, but how are you going to build a dynasty without all these elite players we're not getting by not doing pay for play? We're in a chicken and the egg.
Holtz 1988 it.
Yep.
And you have to beat 3 or 4 teams a year that have better rosters than you.
Yep.
And you just have to be a blue collar football team.
That's it.
Who just
You're right.
Overachieves.
No, you're right. That is the only answer, because this is where I get stuck saying win your way out of this. And then the elite guys, you'll have a better chance to have their attention and interest.
It's not just 1 year though. You have to build a dynasty.
I don't think Notre Dame's not building a dynasty without elite guys. And you could say 88, but they had Tony Rice and Chris Zorich making plays, guys that couldn't get in now. So those
guys weren't elite.
How are you going to do it? Elite. How are you going to do it? How are you going to win elite. Those games without great players? You can only do to coach them up so many times before you need talent.
If you remember that the years they won national titles, the year they won the national title.
I don't remember it because I was poor.
They weren't beating those teams' asses. They were barely scraping by.
Man,
they shouldn't. Cleveland Gary didn't even fumble that ball. We really shouldn't have won the Miami game.
Yeah,
but we did.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, but also I could say that touchdown in the corner wasn't one either. That guy didn't have control of that ball. We got ripped off on that one.
I think the referees
balance
made
it
up
out.
For that call.
The old balance it out trick. But listen, man,
right.
You're right though. That is the best way you could change this. But what I'm saying is that is the hardest way, because if you don't have enough of those elite guys, it's going to take a great blend of coaching guys up and motivating them and everything going right. Let me maybe close with some of this on the positive end. I'm going to go with this on the positive side. The quickest way to do what you're saying we need to do is have a truly elite star quarterback. That's it. Because it is the one position that can impact the overall output of the team more than anybody else. And
the great equalizer.
Yeah, and it could raise what's possible if you have those guys. And that I hold out hope for. That may be Notre Dame's best shot at doing this, is hitting on one of these elite guys you can grow with, and he's truly elite, like Heisman contending and electric, and makes all the wide receivers better because he can make all the throws. Like, that may be Notre Dame's best angle, because I put the odds on.
Well, don't hold your breath. I hear you holding out hope. Don't hold your breath, because when's the last time Notre Dame had one of those guys?
Right. But let me ask you this. God, this is a good conversation. This is why I got these phone lines. I love this. This is the kind of discussion I want to have. Genuine, well-meaning, and stressed out. I love it. It's right up my alley. But let me ask you, what is the more likely outcome? Notre Dame lands 8 5-stars over a 2-year period spread out on both sides of the ball, and we get that or one of your quarterbacks is elite, and then you ride with him and he's winning you game. I think it's a lot more in the odds are in your favor to get one good quarterback than have elite recruiting overall in the short term, for sure. Do you agree?
I agree. Yep.
So maybe that's the angle.
Notre Dame's just not going to. And I don't even know if Notre Dame building the dynasty is going to attract these top 30 players. I don't know if it's. I mean, it hasn't for 30 years, right? So, I mean, I don't know if that's going to change it.
I know, but wouldn't it be nice to find out? Wouldn't it be nice to find out? Like I don't know.
Hey, you know what?
I don't know.
You know what? After that, I wouldn't even really care if we got the top 30 players, because we already got our natties. So
yeah, it's
whatever.
Just it's a really complicated dynamic, and Notre Dame's in a tough little spot, wanting to be elite at football, wanting to hold on to their values, and where those start to diverge off the same path, it gets very, very tricky. And a discussion for another day is, not now, but another day would be, at what point do Notre Dame fans start revolting, saying to the university, you need to quit talking about championships being your goal and your expectation. You need to stop charging us championship prices while refusing to do the things it takes to make those practical realities. Like, that's the next step of this, is how many years are you not doing the things you could do to get there, but you're giving us the same line? That's a different discussion of where that frustration comes in.
Can I end with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought up in your chat a couple weeks ago that 2 weeks ago I called the Notre Dame box office, and I wanted them to explain to me, and I don't know why I haven't done this until this point. I wanted them to explain to me how exactly the tickets work at Notre Dame, and they did that. So I talked to the guy, and first I asked them if Notre Dame is up to speed on the opposing fans taking over the stadium, and they said that they know that it exists, and they are taking action. They are trying to do something. I don't know how true that is, but he referenced the Clemson game last year as he was talking to me about this subject, and we furthermore got into how the ticketing works at Notre Dame. And I said, so I'm always trying to get Ohio State tickets this year. And it's, I got to pay $500-$600 a pop on StubHub to get them. And, they're sold out before they even go on sale to the general public. So how does that work? And he tells me that you have to donate to the lottery to even have a shot at the big game tickets. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you know that the Ohio State game was sold out, and there were still people left in the lottery that didn't get tickets? Up to $1,500 donations.
Wow. But geez.
There's people that donated $1,500 that didn't get tickets to that game. It didn't even make it to pre-sale.
So is the lottery truly random, or is it like the more you donate, the more spins you have at it? You know what I'm saying?
He said it's the more you donate, the better chances you have to get.
Man, they nail you. They just nail you. They'll nickel and dime you till you have no pockets left in your jeans, bro.
Dude, and check this out. So
you
then
have to what?
Give the donation
Wait,
to get your name in the lottery that doesn't even guarantee you a ticket. You have to give your donation to get in the lottery that doesn't even guarantee you a ticket, right? And you have to pay for the ticket on top of the donation.
Yeah. I'm just
Oh, okay. So then I say to him, after he tells me all this, I'm like, so I'm better off buying my tickets off StubHub then. They're way cheaper than that.
Right, because it's a guarantee.
And then he goes on to tell me.
Yeah, it's a guarantee though.
What's
You
that?
know you're getting in that way. You're not donating and then not even getting them still.
And you're paying less money.
Right. Oh, man.
But he did make a good point. He ended it with, but if you donate, it's a tax write-off.
Yeah, okay, fine. But I want my ticket, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's great, but I want my ticket.
And you don't even know how much you have to donate to compete to get a ticket to that game. There's no way of knowing that.
Man, everything's a racket, isn't it? And you know, the thing is, there's always going to be people willing to pay for it. My only thing to keep the red out is Notre Dame's got to be undefeated. If Notre Dame loses to North Carolina, NC State or whatever, it's going to get really, really bad. As long as we're undefeated heading into that game, there'll be a decent amount of red, but mostly Notre Dame people excited to be there and positive about what they're going to see. But if Notre Dame should slip up prior, it's going to get really ugly really fast, and I don't even want to see it.
Hey, John, I'm gonna say one more thing. I'm gonna get off here. I want you to get the other callers.
Okay.
I disagree with you. I think it's going to be red no matter what. I hope I'm wrong. I hope and pray that I'm wrong. I think it's going to be red if we're 3-1. I think it's going to be red if we're 4-0. I hope and pray to God that I am wrong. I'm going to end with this. Irish Nation, get your asses out to StubHub. Season ticket holders, don't sell your tickets. September 23rd, Notre Dame needs you to be there for them. We win if it's green. We lose if it's red. That's the difference in the game. I love your show,
There
John.
we go.
I love you.
Hey, listen.
Great conversation.
I want to tell you, thank you. On a Friday morning, this is one of the more like deeper, like hardcore intellectual conversations about all of this. This was really productive. I feel better talking it out with you. Thanks a lot for this call, man.
Hey, no problem, buddy. Have a good Friday.
Have a good one. Take care. I thought that was a productive, fruitful discussion myself. I just do. 818, what's going on?
Rockabye your baby. Hi, I'm Fred Schmerler, your singing Ford dealer. You remember that effed up slogan?
Oh, God, dude. Man, I know
or do you not remember that? I
vaguely do, but it was still a little before my time, was it not?
All those cheesy regional Chicagoland area car, promos.
Dude, we had the Empire. We had the Empire car guy, the Empire carpet guy thing when I was little.
Oh yeah,
we had the. Yeah. What about Victory Auto Wreckers? That commercial where the guy opens that door and it falls right off in the road. They had that my old childhood. Then we went through the phase of what was it, man? Eggman's got something for you. And it was like that bird who dumped out an egg with your car insurance in it. I remember that one. Like we had some wild Peter Francis Geraci, the lawyer. We had that one my whole childhood growing up.
And then my favorite, in Elmhurst at York and Roosevelt Roads, where you always save more money.
Yeah, no.
Dude, as you can tell, I don't have a lot to add because you guys covered literally every single point I was going to bring up. Like you covered all of it. So, I'll give you my take, but everything you guys said was like, there's another check.
Listen, I felt like that was one of the better calls I've had in a while. Like I could feel the frustration, and we're just trying to work it out. I thought that was pretty good debate back and forth and trying to figure this out.
Yeah, man. Again, you guys covered it all. I don't really know what more to add other than just, we want to talk more about all that stuff, I guess. But, yeah, this was kind of going to be my main point. So I guess maybe this wasn't necessarily talked about. John, I see this going one of two directions. I really do. We're either going to reach that next tier, that's been so elusive to Notre Dame over the past several, 35 years, really. I went back and looked at. Let me not get off track. I'll keep that for a second here. Okay, so or we are going to fall a tier down. I don't think we stay where we're at. We don't stay in the top 8. I would say. I was thinking about best programs in the country right now and who those are, and I would say we're firmly in that top 8 right now. I think we were in the top 5 or 6 for a while. I think we've fallen a couple notches, but I don't see us staying where we're at. I see us either rising to that next year because we got real serious about NIL, real serious about, the coaching staff and all the things that makes a great program, or we're going to fall another tier and basically go into, college football obscurity. And it could be a long time coming until we're ready again to maybe a new president of the university takes over. And that person happens to be somebody who's, all in on football. But I just believe, like we talked in the past, it's very similar to the NFL in terms of infrastructure. If you got an infrastructure and a foundation of owners who care about winning, a la New England and Kansas City and some of those places, maybe even Chicago is coming up on that finally. Maybe the Bears. Maybe. Because for years we knew the McCaskies weren't the answer, and look what happened. We had a couple good seasons, but that's it. Now, so it's going to take the top. Go ahead.
Let me bring this up. I've thought of this angle too. I could see this happening in the future. Notre Dame stays right around where they are. Like they're going to recruit enough in the modern era that I don't see them ever being like 4-8 bad again, or like 6-6 would be a big drop from what they built up. I could see them being in an area where we're in the same spot where we're not beating the couple best teams on the schedule. But if every few years they go 10-2 and make that 12-team playoff, the administration's going to say that's plenty good enough for us. I think that is a very realistic outcome to all this, and it kind of bothers me. They would be able to say, "Oh, we made the playoff, twice in 5 years, going 10-2, which means you're losing to the best teams on your schedule anyways." They're going to say, "We made the playoff. What else do you want from us? We're competitive." I could see Notre Dame taking that angle and me saying, "Yeah, you're saying you're competitive, but for what? Not to win it all, but to be in the mix." I could see that being an outcome in the short to mid term.
Well, and I can too. And a couple of points that were made that I agree with, and I've actually brought it up before too, is the downfall of NIL, where that could lead. That could actually help Notre Dame. And I'm talking about, like you were saying, man, I think a lot of programs were getting burned, putting out all that money for come on, man. If it's hard if you have to bank on a 22-year-old, coming into the NFL and throw a bunch of money at him because he's a first-round pick, top 10 pick, whatever, and doesn't pan out, how is that going to be for it? Now, it's not going to be the same kind of money. I get that. But even $1 million or $2 million to a 17-year-old kid, and we're expecting that 17-year-old on average is going to turn out and give us the results of what we're putting out there for him. I just don't see that, John. I just think that when you're at that age and you're being thrown all that money, where now is the incentive to be better? And there are going to be a few guys that are going to pop, that are going to, the Trevor Lawrence. And here's okay. Here, and segueing into that, here's where I think the difference is. And I think you guys hit on it. I was going to say it myself. It's all about the quarterback position. Quarterbacks, just by the nature of the position, tend to be better leaders.
Yeah,
slightly more intelligent.
They move the needle the most.
More galvanizing.
They can move the needle the most. With a little bit of other support, right, they can move the needle. If you give them a decent line or whatever and put them in a chance, they can move the needle a lot. That might be Notre Dame's best path out of this.
I think that's where it's at, John. I think and that, to me, going back to what we're saying, I think what Marcus is finding out is just what Kelly found out when Kelly tried to get, into the elite realm of recruiting. Not quite the same degree of Freeman, but he did in those first few years. He was going after some of those guys. and then realized, well, we just got to get really good in player development, get the best defensive coordinator you can. Again, I still think Clark Lee, it was the best we've had in years. You got to coach up defense, and you have to get where Kelly faltered is he wanted to prove how smart he was by going after the high 3-star quarterback and trying to develop that guy to make him look better. And I think if he had to do it all over again, he would have done the same thing that he did after about year 3 in the program. But he would have probably realized, okay, I got to go after a top 10 quarterback every year. And I think that's the answer, John. We have to, every class, we have to have a top 10 quarterback in that class.
Yeah.
Every time.
And
the chances of one of like the three, let's say freshman, sophomore, junior, you got 3 top 10 quarterbacks. The chances that none of them pan out are slim. You're probably going to have one that becomes, Heisman, All-American contender, I would say.
Yeah.
If you continually recruit, that to me is the answer. Then with everybody else, keep pushing NIL, keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
But man, you need the best coaching staff possible. That for me is the blueprint for Notre Dame going forward. Get into that 12-team playoff and then see what happens.
Yeah.
But you have to get the top 10 quarterback every year. We cannot have years where that's vacant.
Yeah, nope, you're right. And I think it's a lot more likely Notre Dame could find the way these guys at least try and recruit. I think it's much more likely that Notre Dame finds a elite quarterback being one guy you have to find to buy into you than it is likely that we end up with 7 5-stars in a 2-year span or, building out like a legitimate top 5 roster, top to bottom with talent. Like, I think the quarterback path's got to be the way. Find yourself a Joe Montana that's winning you games you're not supposed to win and getting the most out of everybody. And there's all this excitement and he just makes the plays. We haven't had one of those guys in a long time that could win the big ones. That's the other thing I want to complain about is I would always hear about like clutch Ian Book and stuff. Listen, bro, my idea of Notre Dame clutch for a quarterback isn't barely beating crappy Virginia Tech at home and then Ian Book saved the day. Bro, you should never need a miracle to beat bad Virginia Tech at home that one time he did. Like, it needs to be against Clemson doing that, USC doing that, Ohio State doing that. I can't praise you for pulling out a win against a crappy Virginia Tech team and saying that quarterback's elite. That ain't what I mean by elite.
Yeah, no, I know. That was always real frustrating for me too, John, was watching Ian Book at times play like a guy that was in that upper echelon. Like when he would play the good teams, not even the bad teams, but like the North Carolinas of the world, like you said, the Virginia Tech, about it, sort of that, anywhere from like, 17th in the country to 25th, he would shine in games like that. He would look like, a top 4 or 5 signal caller, but then the minute he plays Clemson or Ohio or any of those teams, he would just play average, with a couple exceptions, of course. He came to play, obviously, he kind of won the game for us in that Clemson home game a few years ago. I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
But then, then he got completely exposed in the ACC championship. He looked terrible in that game, as the whole team. So anyway, the point is that you get it. We just have to. Tony Rice is a great example, a guy that would not have even came to Notre Dame if they hadn't allowed someone of his academic ceiling to come in.
Yeah.
And same with Chris Zortz. And those 2 players, if we don't get those 2 players, we don't win a national title. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
man, here's what this is easier said than done, but it's been a long time since Notre Dame has put together legitimate on-field results that nobody could question and that put them in a position to say, we could really hang here. Come join us. Even the great Kelly years, the undefeated Kelly years, ended in embarrassment and misery. Even the best years of Kelly all ended in humiliation and misery. So I can't even say, even in his undefeated best years, it sold recruiting, because it didn't. They ended in embarrassment, even the good years. We don't even know what it's like to try that experiment because we're never in that position.
And that's why perception's so important. I think the reason why Michigan's doing so well in recruiting, yeah, they've had two great years and they beat Ohio State. But, you look at it from this standpoint. They barely lost to TCU, and then TCU got beat by like 50 points against Georgia. I'll be honest, man. I think that Michigan's program would have been hurt a lot worse had they beat TCU and then had to play Georgia the next week or 2 weeks, 9 days later.
Yeah.
Because I think it would have been a bloodbath just like it was to TCU, and that would have done worse things for the program by not having to play Georgia. I think it actually helped them. I really do. That's why I go back to, and I know that this is in the past, but I remember, I really like Eric Hansen. I think he's a good guy, and I think he makes a lot of sense. He's, a long-time sports writer and all that stuff. But I remember him having an argument with Aaron Pritchard years ago on the radio where they got into it, man, where they're like, Pritchard was like, look, and I think this was when the game was announced to play Alabama, so they hadn't played the game yet. I remember this distinctly. And Eric's like, oh, bring on Alabama. I want Notre Dame to beat the best. And Pritchard was like, wouldn't you rather just win a national title and play a team that you think you could beat? And at this point, they weren't necessarily saying Notre Dame couldn't beat them, because even me and my delusional head thought we had a chance in that game. But the point is, the way it turned out set Notre Dame back a few years, man, because of how badly they were beat on the national stage. And I'm telling you, man, had Notre Dame played Kansas State that week, first of all, I think we might have won. But even if we lose, we probably only lose by a few points. That perception changes completely over the next few years. That's why that does matter. I don't, this whole thing of bring on the best, man. We got to beat the best. Well, yeah, if you beat the best, that's going to do great things for your program. But if you get your ass handed to you,
yeah,
that is a ripple effect of like 3 years. And I think that hurt us a lot, man.
That's kind of rough. Yeah, it's rough. But it's like you want to think you could compete, but then you just find out like that team was a beast. And then the Clemson team that wiped the floor with us in the playoff was a beast. Like we have matched up against some elite teams, but it's just a bad look that even in our last coach's best years, they ended in humiliation. Like not just a frustrating loss, embarrassment, humiliation, like a big notification that you're nowhere close still, even in the best years. And so I'm with you, man. Find that quarterback. Maybe that's the quickest way out of this. And I don't need to mention again the big three. I don't know how much the needle moves, but it would help your cause a lot if you could beat those teams this year.
Well, and again, going and the other point, which is I think just as important, and that's why this year is such an important year for Al Washington and Al Golden, because you have to be good on defense, John. I think you guys said it best, and I agree. Notre Dame has to do this the blue-collar way. They got to do it the Michigan way. They're never going to be, in my opinion, I shouldn't say never. Never is a long time, but I don't think they're going to ever get to the point, if they were to remain with the kind of perception the university has, the spotlight that's on the university has, you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to compete in recruiting the way Alabama and Georgia right now are doing. I just don't think you and Ohio State are doing.
Yeah.
So you have to be right next to that, right? You got to, like I said, hit on those high 4 stars, high 3 stars, get as many of those guys as you can. And on top of that, you got to have a top 10 signal caller every year, and you got to have great defensive coaches. I think that's the key right there, man. You got to have, obviously, offensive line as well.
Well,
offensive line.
We're going to get some answers for that defensive coaching question this year, too. Like Al Washington, Al Golden, everybody's looking at you. They already both have people questioning their recruiting. If those units don't perform on the field, then it's going to be strike 1 recruiting, strike 2 on the field, strike 3. You're no longer a part of me, and get out of here. Anything else, my friend? I'm going to try and get a couple more people in before the end.
Not at all, John. I'll see you on Sunday.
Perfect. I'll see you on Sunday, buddy. Be there, be square. All right.
and beers afterwards sound great. All right, John,
hey,
have a good day.
I really did think of that. Anybody there in our group, when it ends, we could walk over a block. There's that beautiful like microbrewery or whatever they call it. We could have a beer. That sounds fun if you're around.
I'll be there. Okay, cool.
Beautiful. See ya. Man, I'm telling you, I'm ready to get into camp and get a lot of this going. This I like the existentialism, but when we get into this stuff, you can lose your mind worrying about all this and reverse configuring how Notre Dame can do this and that. Why is everything got to be so damn hard for us? Everything we do, it just seems like it's harder. Everything. Jeez, it'll drive you nuts. 614, you're on the air. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Always Irish program. I guess not. Right when I answered the phone, it said that it hung off. So I guess they weren't happy to see me. They waited on the line, and then I said 614 hello, and then they hung up. Come on. I tried to get to you. You waited that long, and then you waited till I said hi to drop off. Shit, maybe it was just a phone mistake. I don't know. Oh, my God. Yeah, for real, Adam. Like, you think you guys are ready? And thanks for the $5 holler. Adam, that's another thing for you. I know you're going to go Sunday. Afterwards, we may go grab a couple beers. So if you want to come later on in the event so that we can do all that, or if that interests you and the wife, let's do it, baby. Bring her along. We'll go have a cold one, man. Talk some ND. That's what I want to do. You guys think you're ready for some actual football talk? I mean, how do you think I feel? Constantly trying to come up with something to say and the next show and a different angle we didn't already talk about. You can only cover, look at the schedule. What do we need to do to win our games and recruiting all offseason? It's just a lot, man. It's just a lot. Oh, man. Dude, it might be my phone. It might be my phones because now all these calls are acting weird. Dude, you know what I think I've realized? Not here, but like not right now on this, but sometimes if there's bad weather in the area, it like affects the phone line program that I have to call into to get the signal to do whatever. Like when it plays Steely Dan instead of my on hold music, it's always Steely Dan. Every time I get that on hold music, it's always Steely Dan. I don't know what radio station I'm dialing in on. What the hell's going on? Oh, man. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on with these phones. Something's weird with them. I'll have to reboot them, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get anything else today. I do want to say this. 618, I see you, but I don't have the option to answer it. Something's going on with my line. And maybe that's my fault that I yelled at the last guy for dropping off. The little tab to answer isn't there, which is telling me the phone line's got a snag, bro. I wouldn't do that to you, 618. You're a regular guy. You know that. Yeah, no shit. I need to see the grotto. I'm going to do that in a couple weeks, by the way. I'm going to do that. Let's, what else was I going to say? Yeah, you know what? I do need to get to the grotto. It's good for me, man. And you know what else I like too? Not the grotto, but the crucifix that's in the woods by the lake, and they have the Stations of the Cross, and it's back in the trees. Like if you turned around from the grotto and walked straight up the black path, there would be a lake on the left, and then you're going, and then a lake on the right. Up in there is those Stations of the Cross. I like going in there sometimes more than the grotto because there's never anybody in there. So I can have my peace and quiet. Even on a game day when there's 100,000 people in town, I can go sit in there by that cross with my thoughts, say a prayer about life, about football, about all of it, refill my soul, and there's nobody around because you guys know how I am with people. If you're not my people, I don't have use for you. And so it's just kind of nice to go in there. But yeah, all right. I got something going on with the phone lines. I'm going to have to reboot them. I'm sorry for the people I didn't get to. That's going to be it for the show. Thanks for everybody who donating. Everybody I want to see Sunday. But we're going live tomorrow night. We're going to do a Saturday night show after dark, a build up to the event Sunday morning, Sunday during the day. So damn sure we're going to go live tomorrow night. So sorry about the phone thing. I don't know what happened. I lost one person. No option to even accept these calls. I have to reboot. All the chatters, all the people being here. Listen, for my little show, my little niche, what I try and do here, for us to be getting over 100 live viewers in the middle of July when we have no football that's actually going on yet, that encourages me that when we get into the meat of this, and there's games to preview and react to and actual action to react to, I think these numbers could be good. If we're getting over 100 when we don't have nothing going on, I think we could build something good here, and I want to do it with you guys. Thank you all for being here. Be safe. Have a good weekend. We'll quit using Straight Talk Wireless. That's funny. That's funny. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. I'll give you the link. Everybody have a good one. Thanks for being here.